Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested in migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side so once we're all the updates and news, you'll be the first one getting all the insight. Alright, as the US election is counting on the ballots, at this point in time, we don't know who is gonna be the president of USA. But obviously this is not about USA, it's about Australia, isn't it? However, the geopolitics does have a major event and also affects towards the policy making, especially on the industry of immigration, which has been in the post-pandemic world, it has been a very topic that all the countries talking about. So in this video, I would like to address a trend. Don't know if you have already experienced that. I think everybody's actually in this trend now, and all the countries actually following this trend. It's a trend that the West, not just the West, especially in the English-speaking countries, talking about the Five Eyes. So that's including US, Canada, Australia, UK, and New Zealand. They have a trend. They're all moving towards one directions. So I wanted to talk about this. Not specifically can actually predict from US, because US is just too big. The economy is too big to actually see the actual policy making. But as we expected, the next president of US probably will have some deviation and changes moving towards the immigration direction as well, and that will obviously we already experienced the effect, because these few years there has been so many policy changes. We thought the government of the Labour government, when they took control in 2022, they will open up the gate, allowing a lot of the migrants to come in. However, there has been, it is a policy to actually have skilled migrants, but there is a trend that I'm not too sure if everybody is actually noticing that. And now knowing the trend will obviously help you to actually see where you're at and how you actually can meet the future policy if you want to migrate to Australia, or perhaps to New Zealand, to Canada, to UK or US. So the trend is here. So let's have a look at what we have actually seen so far. If you've been following my channel long enough, you may notice, yes, there's a student caps going on, there's a restriction on net migration, and the drop on the actual permanent migration quota as well. So I'm just gonna flick through numbers of different news medias and to actually help you to actually see that trend. So it's not just me talking about it, it's actually things has been happen and things will happen, and that we will see and predict that trends going on. So first of all, we understand what Australia is actually doing, and it's not just Australia, it's also UK as well. So numbers of UK's university is actually suffering. Well, why suffering? Because they cut a lot of international student numbers as well. So it's not just Australia, UK is doing that. UK is one of the largest international education destination worldwide as well, and UK does deliver a much higher quality and ranking on the international education, especially on the research and development side of it. And it's just not UK, it's also Canada as well. So Canada has said, this is back in January this year, so early this year, Canada was one of the first countries that announced there's going to be a cutback on the international student. They call them foreign students. So it's the same international education sector as well. And noticing that Canada does have almost double numbers of university compared to what Australia has. Now Australia has usually been very highly compared between the Canada and Australia, because there's a lot of similarity. They got large land, But the population wise, it's Australia probably about 10 mil behind Canada, or probably 15 mil. I'm not too sure the actual number. I think Canada has just reached 40 million, is it? Not too sure, but nearly there. But Australia is now catching up with 27 million. So there's a little bit of a gap there. However, the two nations does share a lot of similarity. But Canada does have a neighbor, that is USA, where a lot of the skilled migrant may post qualification may relocate themselves to US for a better job there as well. So that's just Canada there, and not just with this international student, but recently, I think this is only about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Canada also announced a sharp cuts on its immigration target as well. That's cutting a lot of temporary migrants, temporary visa holders. That's including all the working visas, and so as what Australia has already done. So if you have followed my previous video that we had chat about, we have seen that administration, the 13th edition of the planning level and blah 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 and so on and so forth. There has been a dramatic cut on temporary visa application approvals. So that means a lot of rejections there. So I assume that Canada would do the same, just to control net migration. So why are these countries doing that? And so as New Zealand as well. I mean, New Zealand's a small economy. Why will they have that problem too? So New Zealand tightened their visa rule amid unsustainable migration. That means there's just too many migrants going in. Is it just too many? Is it really too many? Well, look, to be honest, I don't think with the capacity of these English-speaking countries to actually take on and absorbs numbers of migrants, I don't think too many is actually. It's being used as, I believe it's being used as the topic in order to follow a new trend. And this is the trend that I am actually observing and have been seen actually happening. So it's a trend that these English-speaking countries, I think the European country is trying to follow further later on, is that they wanted to, first of all, pull up to have a better education system. So they wanted to pull the whole quality of education up altogether. By what? By minimizing the. So what had been happening in the past 10 years is all the international education sector is opened up, all the universities opened up for everyone around the world. Now they are really wanting to pick the best out of the best, so they wanted to pull their quality of service, quality of education up. So you can see the requirement for English fluencies or proficiency has been increased, even from the TAFE level for the vocational training level, and all the way up to higher education, so as for the research and PhD. So that is one of the key trend that they are trying to do. And the other thing is they also restricting. They just decrease the number of net migration. That means more restriction, and that also equalize a higher criteria in order to get visa. So again, if they do it all together, what will happen? And that is the trend that we're actually seeing. So it's not just Australia yelling out for housing crisis. It's also New Zealand. It's also, New Zealand has they restrict. They don't allow foreign investments for real estate property anymore. I'm not too sure why they're still screaming out for unsustainable migration. But there's also Canada as well, and there's also UK, and I suspect US will do the same after the election as well. US is a big complex because all the states, they need to manage every different states, and every different state has their own different laws there as well. So it's just very, very complex in USA. But we can see the trend is moving towards that way, moving towards a higher quality of education for international education sector, and higher quality of skilled migrant as well. If we have a higher quality of education, obviously then they will want to have a higher quality of migrants. Now the good part about this is that the having a higher quality skilled migrants, that will mean a better economy, better country, and better neighborhood that you may have in the future. But the downside to this is that if you have been trying to chase the trend of the past 10 years and you continue to stay there, so a lot of people still thinking about coming to Australia to study as a chef, as a mechanics and things like this, probably you will miss your trajectory. You probably will not be able to be selected or chosen or invited to migrate to whichever, Australia or Canada, because Canada will, a lot of people say, Australia is just too hard, just go to Canada. I think that it will be equal valent hard as well, because they are changing their regulations there too. So the trend is moving towards a better and a more qualified skilled migrants. So I will say my prediction to this is that, as you can see, all the English speaking country is doing the same thing. I think it's moving towards a trend of the new tech world. So if you're not in the tech industry, I mean, tech could include a lot of things. A lot of things can include tech as well. Then you probably will very likely to miss out the opportunity to migrate in the very near future. That's where we're seeing what's coming up. You need a better English proficiency in order to have a better quality of education, and better quality of education will bring on a better skilled migrant, and better skilled migrant will then focus on what? Obviously, all the tech thing that we are talking about. It's we're covering about agriculture, bioscience, health, medical, high tech, AI, artificial intelligence, cloud technologies, and education also has a technology in there. So everything in the future you can imagine of will have that kind of things being involved. Anyway, that's just a trend that I'm seeing at. I wanted to share with you. Probably a little bit brief here, but I can tell you that's what's actually happening, and that is why a lot of people is actually experiencing visa rejections. Are you only thinking about getting a visa, coming to another country, and see if you can further stay and prolong there? That's probably not the way the future will go. So as the trend continues to move on, we'll see what happens. Anyway, should you have more question and query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below. And I see you next video. Goodbye.